So, uh, you know Colin Farrell, right? Like the guy who just got the Oscar nomination.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, did you know he used to be called Pisshead and Druggy? Kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty wild contrast to where he is now.
Totally. Today we're gonna totally unpack that whole journey. We've got this article just called Colin Farrell. It's pretty straightforward.
And what's the plan for our deep dive today?
Well, get ready to be inspired because we're talking resilience, reinvention, the whole shebang.
Sounds pretty intense.
It is. Okay, so rewind with me to the late 90s, right? Young Colin Farrell shows up in Dublin.
Yeah.
Raw talent, charisma, that whole it factor. You just can't look away.
He really did have that star quality, didn't he?
Absolutely. And roles just started flying at him. He became, a total Hollywood heartthrob.
Yeah, his early career was pretty explosive, like a rocket taking off.
But here's the thing. As his fame grew, so did his struggles with addiction.
Yeah,
Right.
It's the classic dark side of fame story, isn't it?
It really is. All that pressure, the crazy pace of Hollywood, it can really mess with you.
It's a reminder that addiction can really hit anyone, no matter how successful or talented they are.
Exactly. And it's just so sad, Here he is at the top of his game, but battling these inner demons.
Right, like this really public struggle going on behind the scenes.
But here's what I think is so amazing about Colin Farrell. He didn't hide from it. He faced it head on.
Yeah,
He went to rehab. He actually chose to fight back.
that takes a lot of courage, especially when the whole world is watching you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, admitting you need help, being vulnerable like that, that's huge.
Totally. It's like the first step to actually healing.
And, for him, it was a turning point. Like he was taking his life back,
Yeah.
writing his own story.
It wasn't just about sobriety, right? It was a total life shift.
Yeah. And that change shows up everywhere, not just in his personal life, but in his career, too.
Oh, definitely. In Bruges, for example, that was a whole new direction for him.
Oh, yeah. So different from his earlier stuff.
Right. He played this hitman grappling with all this guilt, and it was just, wow, so powerful.
People were blown away by how deep and emotional it was.
Some critics even said you could see his personal struggles reflected in his acting. A new vulnerability.
Yeah, I see that. And then there's fatherhood. Farrell has a son, James,
Yeah.
who has special needs.
Right.
And it's so clear that becoming a dad really changed him
Yeah.
deeply.
It does that, doesn't it? Parenthood, it shifts your whole perspective.
It does. And I think for Farrell, having a child with unique needs, it just added this whole other layer to his growth.
Like it pushed him even further on his journey of self-discovery, gave him this deeper sense of purpose.
Totally. Suddenly, it wasn't all about Hollywood anymore.
Yeah.
There's something bigger, more meaningful.
Yeah, I get that. And it's amazing how he took that new perspective and actually
That's
made
right.
a difference. In 2024, he started the Colin Farrell Foundation
Yeah.
to help adults with cognitive disabilities.
It's so inspiring, right? Like he's using his fame to shine a light on this whole community that often gets overlooked.
It's really powerful stuff.
Totally. And it's not just about the foundation either. He's spoken out about, making education more inclusive
Yeah.
and having better resources for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
He's really trying to change the conversation.
He is. And it's great to see that it's not just talk either. Like his foundation really does stuff. They partner with organizations like the Special Olympics.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And they give grants for programs to help empower adults with cognitive disabilities. Like real, tangible stuff, not just words.
That's so cool. Like job training workshops and social inclusion programs, that's amazing.
It really makes a difference.
It does. It shows he's actually walking the walk,
Yeah.
not just talking about it.
Right. He's putting his money where his mouth is and using his influence to make things happen.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about his struggles, his recovery, his amazing advocacy work.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not forget, this is still Colin Farrell, the movie star.
Right.
His career is still going strong.
Stronger than ever, I'd say. I mean, he's been in huge blockbusters like The Batman.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting praise for his roles in more serious films like The Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. But, those successes feel different now, don't they?
They do, yeah.
There's this depth to his work now, a maturity that wasn't really there before.
Like he's bringing all of his experiences, the good and the bad, into his acting.
Exactly. It's like all that life experience is enriching his craft.
In Bruges was definitely a turning point, but his more recent roles, they have this extra layer of like raw human understanding. It's really captivating.
And speaking of raw and human, it's pretty wild how he's taken that old nickname, the pisshead and druggy thing,
Yeah,
and turned it into something empowering.
he really has.
He could have tried to hide that part of his life, but he owns it.
It's pretty remarkable, actually. He's so open about his mistakes,
Yeah.
talks about them freely, and uses his experience to connect with others who might be struggling.
It's like he's saying, hey, I messed up, but I got through it, and so can you.
That kind of vulnerability is so rare, especially for a celebrity. It makes him seem so human.
Right. It's like he's not just a movie star on a pedestal. He's a real person who's been through some tough stuff.
Exactly. And people respond to that. They connect with it.
They do. It makes it okay for them to be imperfect, too, to embrace their own struggles.
Tend to believe that change is actually possible.
It's a really powerful message that goes way beyond Hollywood.
It does. It's about the human experience, overcoming challenges, making mistakes, and finding redemption.
And in a way, Colin Farrell's story shows us that our flaws don't define us. It's what we do with them that counts.
How we learn and grow from those experiences, that's what shapes who we are.
It's kind of funny when you think about it.
It is.
Colin Farrell, right? He doesn't really fit the mold of your typical Hollywood heartthrob.
Yeah. How so?
Like, those guys, all about looks and keeping up this perfect image.
Right.
But Farrell, he's different.
He's not afraid to be real, to show his flaws.
Well, exactly. He's all about authenticity.
Yeah, even if it means being vulnerable.
And I think that's why people love him,
Yeah.
He's relatable.
He is. He's not pretending to have it all figured out.
He's just being himself, flaws and all.
And that willingness to talk about his past, even those rough parts, it's pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it okay for others to be imperfect, too.
Like he's saying, hey, I screwed up, but I'm still here. You can be too.
It's a message of hope,
Yeah.
especially for people struggling with addiction or mental health stuff.
It shows that recovery is possible, even with all the pressure of fame.
It does. It's really inspiring.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Colin Farrell, what really sticks with you about his journey?
I think it's that transformation, from battling his own demons to helping others who are struggling.
It shows real character, right? Like
Yeah.
depth beyond just being an actor.
Exactly. It's about who he is as a person.
It's his whole journey, the resilience, the recovery, the advocacy.
It's pretty incredible.
Colin Farrell's story reminds us that we all have the power to overcome stuff, to change, to use our experiences to help others.
It's about growth and using what we've been through to make a positive impact.
And, maybe it even gives us the courage to face our own challenges a little differently.
Yeah, with more compassion for ourselves and others.
Because if Colin Farrell can turn his life around so dramatically, who knows what any of us are capable of?
It's really about believing in the power of change and knowing that it's never too late to become a better version of ourselves.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.